Hey, welcome everyone. Welcome to the show. I'm your host. On this August 9th, 2023, Tom Coffee here. And we are streaming live on YouTube and on Rumble. What's up, Duggo, over on Rumble? Rumble.com/coffeenuance/live. Folks, I want to talk about something. I do want to talk about something. That's been plaguing group projects and team efforts since, well, the dawn of civilization. Yeah, I'm talking about the Ringlemann effect, social loafing, or as I like to call it, the great group slacker conspiracy. You know, there's a reason why they say too many cooks spoil the broth. Turns out too many cooks also make the broth taste like mediocrity, seasoned with a dash of, I don't give a damn. It's like every time you gather a bunch of people in a room, their collective effort becomes as effective as a paper straw. But hey, don't take my word for it. Max Ringlemann, a French engineer, did all the heavy lifting on this concept. He proved that as a group gets bigger, individual effort goes downhill faster than a wheel of cheese. It's like each person in the group thinks, someone else will do the heavy lifting. I'm just here for the coffee and casual Fridays. You've seen it at work, haven't you? Remember that group project where you carried the entire team on your back? What about your team members do? What did they do? They vanished faster than honesty from an MSNBC show. And let's not forget the corporate world. It's a breeding ground for Ringlemann's disciples. You've got the classic meeting marathon where everybody talks and talks and talks, and by the end, you're not even sure what the original topic was. Was it about solving world hunger or just deciding where to order lunch? But here's the twist, folks. The Ringlemann effect isn't just about pointing fingers and laughing at your coworkers. It's a reminder that when we come together, we need to make sure everybody's got skin in the game. You need to hold each other accountable. It's like a buddy system for grown-ups. So the next time you're in a meeting or a group project, remember the Ringlemann effect and make a pact with yourself to be that one shining star who lights up in the darkness of collective apathy. Because, as I always say, if you can't be a shining example, at least be a horrible warning. My name's Tom Coffee. This is the Coffee Nuance Show, the best censored commentary and news show live right now. Flame on. Oh yeah, the Ringlemann effect. Social loafing, and it's also called social loafing, right? And this is when a group of people exert less effort in a group than they would if they were working alone. And as the group size increases, individual effort decreases because there's a diffusion of responsibility, not as much responsibility and less accountability. So to counteract this, the important thing is to set up clear goals for each individual in the group and have some individual accountability and not just say, it's the whole team and that's it. Because then just people start slacking or social loafing, if you will. And this makes so much sense. Why is it that we continually will do group activities without holding individuals responsible? Why is that? Why do we keep falling into that trap? I don't know. I don't know, but that's the Ringlemann effect, and that was the big idea that I wanted to talk to you today. This is Wednesday, Big Idea Wednesday. And it really doesn't even matter what the group is, what the purpose of the group is. if you don't have any individual accountability, things seem to fail, right? And I guess we can carry this over into other things, right? You know, if we're talking about saving the environment or keeping society looking nice, keeping our streets clean, right? If we don't hold individuals accountable for littering, right? If we no longer hold individuals accountable for that, then everything just goes to shit, right? That's why holding individuals accountable, whether it be just in society, littering or whatever, or in your group at work, it really is important to do. And I want you to be really wary of the people that don't want to hold individuals accountable, because they are the enemy of production. They're the enemy of getting things done. They're the enemy of civilization, as far as I'm concerned. And I'm not going overboard when I say that. If you're against holding individuals accountable, you are against civilization. That should be a quote. I don't know. It's probably not that catchy. Anyway, thanks for tuning in today. I appreciate it. If you could do me a favor, hit the like button. I do appreciate you liking these videos and letting me know that you're a real human being with real choices and you've chosen to click that button. It means something to me. Anyway, I got a number of stories to roll through today, and we'll end up with some good news, followed by talking about your comments in the after show. I'll be going through reading all your comments. But I'm glad everyone is here today. So let's get to the first story, and this is about Binance. A little update about that. You know, folks, Binance just got the green light in El Salvador to operate as a legit cryptocurrency exchange. They're celebrating like they found the secret code to unlimited virtual gold, but you got to wonder, with all the regulatory heat they're facing around the globe, did they just stumble upon the only place where digital currencies are truly considered exchanges? Here's the story. Binance, the world's largest cryptocurrency exchange, has secured operating licenses in El Salvador, making it the first exchange to do so under the country's new crypto regulations. This is a significant step for Binance amid global regulatory challenges. While El Salvador's government supports cryptocurrency, Binance continues to face scrutiny in other parts of the world. The country's adoption of Bitcoin has had its share of issues, including technical problems and fraud. Binance's approval comes amidst its legal troubles in various countries. So Binance, this crypto exchange, this is where you can buy and trade cryptocurrencies. They have different rules in different countries, and they were getting a lot of heat in the U.S. And so, oh my goodness. There we go. Fix the Chiron. My goodness. And so by setting up shop in El Salvador, now they have a legit place that is backed by the government. A legit place that is backed by the government to support this cryptocurrency exchange, which feels good if you are a consumer and you appreciate cryptocurrencies. Now at least there's one country on earth that you're able to go to and feel like it all won't be taken away with some new regulations and things like that. So I think this is a positive development. I am really interested in El Salvador to see the turnaround that that country has made from the nicest dictator. I think that's what he called himself, the nicest dictator, on Instagram, their president. It was a joke, obviously. Yeah, more good news for El Salvador. I'm looking forward to. I think I want to take a trip to El Salvador and really check it out. And having a cryptocurrency company that is legit there now, it makes a big difference. It makes a big difference for that. So anyway, next up, let's... This next story is steeped in irony. You know, folks, the Biden administration slapped sanctions on Belarus for a fraudulent election. And I couldn't help but chuckle. The U.S., the land of hanging chads and electoral college magic, suddenly becoming the referee of legitimate elections. It's like that one guy at the party who's always given relationship advice, and he's had more divorces than everyone else in the room combined. Yeah. Hey, Belarus, trust us. We're the experts on the whole fair election thing. And just don't look too closely at Florida in 2000 or, well, frankly, just don't look at what we're doing. Here's the story. Biden administration imposed sanctions on is it Belarusian or Belarusian leader Alexander Lukashenko. His regime on the anniversary of a fraudulent election, or so they claim, a crackdown on protesters. The U.S. targeted individuals, entities, and state-owned businesses involved in repression and complicity in Russia's war in Ukraine. Visa restrictions were imposed on regime officials, undermining democracy. Lukashenko, Putin's ally, has long faced isolation and sanctions. The sanctions aim to disrupt revenue sources and hold the regime accountable for abuses. Yes. Because when you do it, it's bad. When you do it, it's bad. Don't look at what we do. Is essentially the story here. You know, I would like to know. Now, I'm not making any claims about any. I'm not making any claims whatsoever about any election that's ever happened in the U.S. As far as I know, 100% of them are totally legitimate every single time. And the joke I've heard about this is that's the amazing thing about America. You know, you get into any large organization, any government entity, across the board, there always seems to be some fraud, right? Medicare, education system, and the court system. There always seems to be some shenanigans going on in just about every sector of the American government, with one exception, and that's every single election. Every single election across the country, that's the one exception. And that's pretty lucky, I guess, on our part. But how do we even judge? How are we supposed to judge whether an election is legitimate or not? I know we judge foreign elections differently. You know, foreign elections, we have things like exit polls, right? We have things like exit polls, and we can look at the exit polls and we can do some statistical analysis and find out how closely they align with the official results. And that's a way that we used to be able to determine if elections were legitimate or not. But for some reason, our corporate media decided to stop funding exit polls in American elections. So I guess we just have to take the leader's words for it that everything is legit, because you can't question it. So my question is, how come we're questioning the Lukashenko election? How come we're questioning Belarus if they say their election was totally legitimate? Who are we to say otherwise, unless the U.S. has some actual evidence, right? That's what I've heard. Where's your evidence? If you're going to make a claim that there was election fraud, you need evidence. And I agree. Where's the evidence that the Belarus election was fraudulent? It sounds to me like the United States government, it sounds to me like the Biden administration are election deniers. That's what it sounds like to me. They're making claims without evidence, and I think that's very irresponsible of them. Very irresponsible. But speaking of fake news, I got a good one for you. You know, folks, they say AI-generated voices are getting so convincing now that even our best human ears can't tell the difference a quarter of the time. I mean, seriously, we're living in an era where even your ears can't trust their instincts. And here's the kicker. Turns out training people to spot these AI fakes doesn't work at all either. So when you get a call from grandma asking for money, just remember it might be Siri trying to fund her own virtual vacation. So the story is that AI-generated audio that mimics human speech is so convincing that people can't distinguish it from real speech about 25% of the time. Even when trained, researchers at University College London use text-to-speech algorithms to create deepfake speech samples in English and Mandarin. Participants could only accurately detect deepfake speech 73% of the time, even with training. This poses a security threat as scammers have already used such technology for fraud. The study suggests relying solely on training won't work and proposes like a crowd-based fact-checking. Better automated detectors and, oh my goodness, who would have thought? More regulations to mitigate the risks. So this is also coming on the heels that the brand new iPhone update, what's that, iOS 17 or whatever it is now, is going to allow you to make voice fakes of your own voice. So you can have it learn your voice and then enter text and it will read it in your voice. And that's in the brand new updated iOS. So, yeah, this is going to be a big deal. And can you imagine all the fraud that is coming? You can even impersonate people. I mean, this is just incredible. This is really incredible that you could impersonate people on the phone. It makes me think back to those fun, like crank calls. And there was a time in the 90s we had, I think there were like sound boxes or something like that. They would, you could program it on a web page and you could press different keys and it would trigger different audio clips. Right, so you could have like a whole bunch of Arnold Schwarzenegger clips and call up somebody and then just pretend to be Arnold Schwarzenegger by playing the clip, you know, asking questions, having responses, having yes, no, having a wide variety of responses. But now you could do that with a real person's voice that you could type out. This is really incredible. And this just means you're really going to have to verify things before you send anyone money or give anyone access to any of your accounts. Just don't trust a voice anymore. You just can't do it. So, just a warning. Just a warning. And then when you get scammed, you'll say, oh yeah, Tom told me about that. Anyway, we need some good news, so let's end the show with some good news. Did you hear about the Brazilian Amazon's deforestation rates dropping by 60%. Yeah, that's the rainforest is jumping on the self-improvement bandwagon. Nice. Deforestation in Brazilian Amazon decreased by around 60% in July compared to the previous year, signaling positive progress ahead of a regional summit. This improvement is attributed to new policies under President Lula's administration, including penalties for land grabbers and efforts against illegal mining. Environmental Minister Marina Silva emphasized the need for concrete action at the summit to prevent ecological damage and inequality. While this trend is promising, caution's advised, and the threat of climate change remains. Of course, you can't ever do any story on climate change without saying, and just a reminder, it's real and it's scary and blah, blah, blah. Apparently you have to do that in any story that involves climate change. You always have to declare to make that declaration. So I've made the declaration. It's real and it's scary and, you know, it's devastating. Anyway, it's great news that the rainforest is, the deforestation is really decreasing. But again, this is one of those things that numbers can often kind of play a trick on you. It's kind of like our inflation numbers. They'll say, oh, our current rate of inflation is really low, so you should be happy. And it's like, okay, it might be really low this month, but it's been really high, like the last 2 years, it's been really high. It hasn't gone down, right? So compared to 2020, my Brussels sprouts are up 50%. I don't care that it hasn't gone up the past month. It's still really expensive. And in the same way, when we talk about deforestation, if they're talking about it going, you know, that it's not being deforested. Is that the right way to say that? At the same rate it used to be, well, it's still getting smaller, right? It's still getting smaller, so that's still bad. It's just not as bad a rate as it was before. Still good news. Still good news, but still things to look at. You know, I'm trying to stay positive. I live in Portland. I'm in East Portland, right? And the city came around a couple years ago and planted a bunch of trees, right, in East Portland, because they're like, oh, you know, you need more trees out here. And the contract, whoever they were with, ended in March. And so, like, nobody in the city bothered to water any of the trees since March. And now, like, 20-something trees that they planted they're all dead now. Yeah, just planting things and not watering them doesn't really help with the environment. And in the same way, just if we cut down on how much forest we lose, still doesn't fix it. We got to do things to actually fix it. We need to look at these things on kind of a longer term than just looking at like, well, deforestation is down compared to a year ago. Okay, good. It's a good trend. Let's just see how it plays out. Anyway, I do think it is some good news. You know, often when we hear anything about the environment, anything about climate, anything, it's all negative all the time. And we don't ever hear any of the positive things that are happening, because there are a lot of positive things happening. So I just wanted to tell you about that. Deforestation in the Amazon, making great strides there. So we can salute that. We can cheers to that. Anyway, that's all I have for you today. Stick around the after show. I'm going to go through your comments. Be back tomorrow. You made it this far and you haven't hit the like button. You can hit the like button right now. You can do it right now. You can. Or you can listen to the outro. Anyway, peace. All right. Happy Wednesday. What did you think about that idea today about groups that everyone is just loafing, social loafing, because it's a group project and we just don't have to do as much? You know, it's something that just like I've just known, but I never really had it put into words before researching for today. And I'm glad that we have a name for it. So that's cool. Duggo over on Rumble. What's up, Duggo? You too can get your comment nice and big. Look at over here on the side. Well, let's see. Right here. We got all this room here for your Rumble comments. If you're joining us live on Rumble, we get so many people that watch on Rumble on the replay, on the video on demand. But if you tune in live, you can get your comment on the screen. So, I don't know if anybody cares about that. Frankly, I wouldn't really care if my comment was on the screen. But whatever, we got to keep trying. Groupthink becomes group slacking sometimes, yeah. Tom, I heard that the French have violated the airspace of Niger and fired the first shot. Yeah, I was actually reading about what is happening over in Africa this morning. You know, I choose the articles that I think are kind of interesting, and I just didn't have enough input. I just didn't have anything else to say other than like, oh shit. That sucks. So perhaps I will, we'll see what happens with that. Gonzo the Good hit me up for $5. Thank you for doing what you do. Glad I could catch it live. And Gonzo the Good hooked me up on YouTube. So now that YouTube has put me in the good, or has taken me out of the bad column and put me in the good column. Now you can put in these super chats on YouTube. You can also do that as well on Rumble. So either platform, if you want to give a tip and you get your comment on the screen there, I'll read it live. Knock yourself out. You know, I'd stay an extra hour and just read super chats. Anyway, very cool. Pot to kettle. My aren't you black? Pretty much. Do as I say, not as I do. We got a lot of that in this country. Too good, not too good. Official grammar and spelling police. Not sure what that is in reference to, but let's see. Natasha says Sam Harris was saying that AI would shut down the internet, or at least the title of some video said that. I tell you what, Sam Harris, I used to really respect him as just a great intellectual. I think his brain broke. I really do think his brain broke over this, like COVID and Trump. He's just like not operating the same. I really worry about him because he's just making really, really dumb arguments now. You really have to wonder about someone like that. My big pecan, let's see, I'm reading here, did some self-deforesting yesterday. No one was hurt, but chainsaw is needed. Oh, yikes. Sorry about that. If you remove the rainforest from the civilizations of the past, the Amazon is smaller than maps show today by quite a lot. Let me see. If you remove the rainforest from the civilizations of the Amazon is smaller than maps show today. Okay. I gave away 4 trees this year. Well, that's cool. Social loafing, because working hard is uncool. Yeah, I mean, if I didn't care about my job, I guess social loafing would be... Right, that's probably what you would do. Old maps of past civilizations, Aztecs, etc., occupied great swaths of land. Hundreds of years later, went back to find reported communities, and they were overtaken by the forest and couldn't find them. Yeah, a lot of these older civilizations in South America and in, I guess, Central America have been covered by jungles. So that's true. Natasha says, yes, Brett Weinstein thinks Sam Harris's brain broke too. I've not listened to Sam much. It's hard for me to listen to him anymore because he just sounds like... It's really shocking, and it's one of those things that you wonder, what was he really smart? Was I fooled before in thinking this guy was an intelligent guy? Because what he's saying now is like just absurd. So anyway, that happens. Eric YHF checking in on Rumble. Good to see you, Eric. I'm glad you could join us today. Anyway, that is all that I have for you today. I appreciate everyone's comments and smashing that like button. I'll be back tomorrow. Hope you all have a glorious day. Until then, peace.